Welcome back to the kitchen, guys. Today we are working on the national dish of the United Kingdom, and it is not fish and chips, it is not bangers and mash, it is not pigeon pie. It is in fact chicken tikka masala. That beautiful combination of marinated grilled chicken simmered in a rich tomato cream sauce with a medley of warm spices. It balances beautifully. There is a reason why it's so popular, and we are going to learn how to make it coming up. Let's get to it, guys. But first, a note. Indian food has a lot of spices. I'm sure a lot of people know that. I don't want you to get panicky about it because the ingredient list below is long. It's just ground spices. All you're doing is mixing them together, so it's not that hard. And those spices are actually going to be listed twice because there's a marinade and a sauce. It's basically the same spices, they're just listed twice. So it makes the ingredient list look long, but there's nothing to it, no problem at all. We've got those spices right here. I got them all laid out on a plate so you guys can see them. Let me see if I can name these off just by sight. We've got some salt, some cumin, cardamom, black pepper, cinnamon, coriander, fennel, nutmeg, and cloves. That's a lot of spices, but they are in perfect balance, perfect harmony. If you want to learn to cook with spices, cook Indian food because they do an amazing job bringing things together that you might think are going to sound cacophonous, but it actually sounds like a symphony. If your average Western dish is like a 4-piece rock band, this is your full orchestra. So we're going to learn a lot about cooking with spices today. Let's get started. We have here a little bit of 5% Greek yogurt. Marinating your meat in yogurt is great for both flavor, that nice tang that you get, and also it helps to tenderize your meat. Don't need a whole lot. We are cooking 2 pounds of meat here, and that doesn't look like a lot of yogurt, but it really spreads over the meat, and no need to be wasteful. Let's get all our spices in. Actually, we have one more spice that I didn't mention yet. This bright red chili powder here, this is Kashmiri chili. I love it. It has a nice mild heat. It's not overwhelming. It's really bright in color and really bright in flavor. If you don't have it, you can substitute cayenne, but I'll include a link below to get this. I think this is way better than cayenne, and you should just take that cayenne right out of your spice rack and put Kashmiri chili because it is the best. Now we've got also some lime juice just to bring a little more tang and fruitiness, a little bit of vegetable oil. And we also have some fresh garlic and fresh ginger. Fresh ginger just tastes so much better than the powdered stuff. It's got so much more flavor. And I know a lot of folks have a hard time working with it, but I'm going to show you how to chop it in a way that's really easy, and it'll last for a really long time in the fridge. Ginger is a natural preservative, and it kind of preserves itself. So get some fresh ginger, put it in the fridge with your garlic. You often use the two together. It's a great idea. So when I peel ginger, I like to use a spoon. A dull spoon helps to not scrape away the ginger itself, just to take the flesh off, and the curvature of the spoon helps you get into all the nooks and crannies. The skin will come off really easily with the edge of this spoon. Now, a lot of people will use a grater. That kind of takes forever. The easiest way to do ginger in my book is to cut it in half so that you have flat sides. You lay the flat side down, take the side of your knife, just give it a smash. Now, as you can see, it will kind of flare out into little fibers, and then you can turn it 90 degrees, cut the fibers in the opposite direction. And you've already got a nice minced ginger. I'll go through it a few more times to make it really fine. And you could go fully down to a paste if you want, but we don't need to do that. We're just doing a marinade. Way quicker, way easier than using a grater. Ginger is very tough. It takes forever to grate it, but that little smash and chop technique works every time. Seven cloves of garlic? Is that a ton of garlic? It sure is. And it's delicious in this recipe. A lot of garlic in the marinade, a lot of garlic is going in the sauce too. Bringing in our boneless, skinless chicken thighs. You can use breast if you want. I prefer thigh. I think it stays juicier in this recipe, but it's up to you. Those are going right in. Clean hands, because we want to get this fully coated in our marinade. Nothing to it, nothing scary yet. Let's get a lid on this. We're gonna pop it in the fridge. I say at least 2 hours to really let that marinade do its job with flavor and tenderizing, but you can do it the night before. It's really great when you let it sit overnight. That's up to you. Before we get our sauce going, I got a little bit of chicken stock here that's going to be part of our sauce. I'm going to fortify it with some unflavored gelatin. If you have a homemade stock, feel free to use that. You don't need to get gelatin. But when I buy store-bought stock, I always like to add a little gelatin to make it more like homemade, because that's going to bring a great body and richness to our sauce. I like to use this kind, the sheet gelatin. They don't sell it at the grocery store though. You can get the packet of unflavored gelatin there, and it's just one packet goes right in here. Or if you're using the sheet like me, it's 4 sheets. I'll include a link below for some sheet gelatin if you want it. I just think it's higher quality. We always get our gelatin into our liquid first. Give it a chance to what they call bloom. That just means it's hydrating before it goes into the sauce. Now, I said this was going to be a lesson in spice use, so we're going to see how Indian cuisine uses different types of spices, both ground and whole. Indian recipes often start with some whole spices that they infuse into their cooking oil first to make it aromatic. We do a similar thing in Western cooking. We'll use like aromatic vegetables, which we call a mirepoix. Often it's like onion, celery, carrots, sometimes bell pepper, sometimes garlic. You infuse them into your oil. It brings out a lot of flavor. Well, in Indian cuisine, they'll do that with whole spices. So we're going to start with a little bit of vegetable oil and a little bit of butter. Now, if you've ever cooked Indian, you might be surprised right now that you're not seeing ghee, which is clarified butter. That is a very common cooking fat in India. But for this recipe, we want the emulsifiers that are in the whole butter. So that's why we're going to use regular butter. While that's melting, let's talk about our whole spices. We have here today a whole cinnamon stick, a pod of star anise, a couple pods of black cardamom, and then a bunch of pods of green cardamom. If you're not familiar with the cardamoms, those are 2 different species of cardamom, green and black. The black one is a lot richer, a lot smokier. It's got like a leather and smoke kind of flavor. And then the green has a more perfumey, more herbal kind of flavor. They both bring a lot to this. And if you guys are worried, most of these spices are things you're going to find easily in your spice aisle at your grocery store. I didn't get too crazy on it. I will include links below for things that might be a little bit harder to find, like the black cardamom. I'll include a link for that, but you can often find it at most grocery stores. And the reason we use whole spices for infusions is because powders tend to burn in hot oil, but the whole spices can infuse without getting bitter or acrid. That butter is starting to foam, so let's go in with all of our whole spices. And also 2 leaves of bay leaf. I buy them fresh and keep them in a zip top bag in the freezer. They're so much more flavorful than the dried. You won't regret doing that. You'll find yourself using bay leaf a lot more often because you're getting a lot more flavor out of it. Keep that heat pretty low now. We don't want to burn our spices. Burnt spices taste really bitter. You shouldn't see any black developing. Just about a minute on this. And you are going to smell immediately. Your whole kitchen is just going to fill with that scent of warm spices. It just makes you so hungry right off the bat. The smell of butter and warm spices, I don't know. It's a beautiful thing. I'm going to turn my heat down to low now because I'm going to go in with my garlic, minced garlic, and my minced ginger. I want those to cook for about 5 good minutes because I want them to turn toasty brown with no black. Again, black will be bitter. Toasty brown on garlic and ginger is great. You want it to take about 5 minutes, so keep that heat real low. You'll see it start to toast. Now that butter will foam up on you and it can be hard to see your garlic, so you might want to just pull a little bit of garlic up and out. Take a look at it. That's nice looking color for me. It's starting to get nice and brown. Now I do have 1 ground spice that I'm going to add. It's my Kashmiri chili powder. I really like to infuse it into my oil, but I save it for the last 30 seconds so that it doesn't burn. Just 30 seconds on that. Gives us a nice bright red oil. I love that. We're going to go right in with a liquid. We're going to go right in with a liquid to cool things down. Get that tomato in there, cool your pan off. Chili powder and your other spices don't burn. I'm using a can of crushed tomatoes today. I like the crushed because it gives this sauce some texture. You can use puree if you want. Now we've got our chicken stock with our gelatin in it. Sure that doesn't stick. Gelatin will be bloomed, but it won't be melted until it heats up. Some white sugar, some salt. I use unsalted stocks in my recipes, guys, because different companies salt to different levels, and I'll never be able to tell how much salt you guys are gonna have in your dish because I don't know which company you bought from. So I always use unsalted, and then we salt it to the level that is right for the dish. Now I have here a little bit of light corn syrup. You might wonder why I'm using both sugar and corn syrup, and that's because corn syrup is an invert sugar, and invert sugars add a real silky body to a sauce. It's really wonderful. That's why I do it. If you don't have any, you can substitute extra white sugar. Just use the amount that you would have used corn syrup, but I do recommend picking some up because it makes this sauce just that much better. Some heavy cream. You ask 10 different chefs, you'll get 10 different recipes for tikka masala. This is my version. I think it's really good. You guys will be the judge in the end. Gives you this nice, rich, pink color. And then again, our spice medley. Pretty much on repeat this time, except that we're adding in some fenugreek. So we've got cumin, fenugreek, cloves, black pepper, coriander, fennel, and nutmeg all going in. It's a fantastic spice medley. Like I said, symphony in your mouth with this one. And all of those spices are commonly available at any grocery store. Pick them up, they'll last you a long time, but you're gonna be making tikka masala a lot, I promise you. You won't have to get Indian takeout anymore. Get those all stirred in. I'm gonna turn my heat up a little bit. Bring this up to a simmer, not a hard boil, just a simmer. Then I'll turn the heat down just to keep a light simmer. It's gonna take about a half an hour to reduce and infuse. You'll see how it thickens up and we get a perfect tikka masala sauce. It has been about 30 minutes. Let's see what we got. Now this sauce gets very thick, which means it tends to want to splash, but you can't put a lid on because you need the evaporation. That's why I'm using one of these little splatter guards. It's just a fine mesh that allows the steam to evaporate, but you don't get splashes all over your stovetop. So I'll include a link below for that if you want one. Let's take a look. Nice and thick, rich. All that stuff that sticks to the side, scrape that off and dissolve it in your sauce. There's lots of flavor in that. You know, the reduction can vary depending on your stove and your pot. So 30 minutes is just a guide. You're just looking for a texture. Just want a really thick, rich, meat coating texture. And that's how you know you're done. I'm gonna use a slotted spoon to get out my whole spices. I don't want to bite into those, and my bay leaves. Every chef knows you always have some finishing moves on a sauce just to bring some extra flavor in right at the end. I'm gonna use a little bit of distilled white vinegar to bring brightness and acidity to the sauce, balance out all that richness and that spice. We do these off the heat because they're just small amounts and we want them to have fresh flavors. I reserved some of our heavy cream for the end, as well as a couple tablespoons of our butter. Butter and cream, they have a really bright sweetness when they're not cooked. Of course, we want this sauce to be cooked, but a little bit reserved for the end brings that sweet cream dairy flavor that you don't get from what was stewed for a little while. So just stir that in and make sure that butter melts all the way and emulsifies into the sauce. Of course, let's give it a little taste. Spot on. I mean, that is good tikka masala sauce. So spicy, so many layers of flavor. It's creamy, it's rich, it's got the sweetness from the tomatoes and that bit of sugar, and then all those spices layered into the oil and over on top. It's just everything you want this dish to be doing, and it's a really great way to experience the totality of spices in cooking. I love Indian for that. Now, this is called tikka masala. Tikka means any meat that has been marinated and grilled, and then masala is the spice mixture that we use in our sauce. So we have to grill our meat in order to make it a true tikka masala. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take you guys outside. We're gonna do it on the outdoor grill. That's the best way to do it. The best way is over a charcoal grill, but we're gonna use gas today. You could also do it in a grill pan inside or even under your broiler. But we're gonna go out to our outdoor grill and we're gonna get our chicken grilled up. Our chicken is grilled. We've got some nice crust on the outside. I don't grill it all the way through. I don't cook it all the way through because we are gonna cut it up and finish it in our sauce, and I don't want it to get overcooked or dried out. So I leave it a little bit under. We just want that crustiness, that smokiness, everything that you love about grilled meats. So we're gonna cut it into about 1-inch chunks. Make sure you let it cool a little bit. Not only does that save your hands, but that's gonna keep all your juices from running out on your cutting board when you slice it. Save that plate of juices. We're gonna add those to our sauce. Lots of flavor, lots of smokiness. We don't wanna waste them. Bring back in my sauce. We're gonna simmer this for about 10 minutes. All right, guys, our chicken is done. It is looking and smelling fantastic. I can't wait to get into it. I'm gonna get some rice set up, a little bit of naan. We're gonna plate this up and we're gonna give it a try. We are plated up. We are looking amazing, guys. I have some store-bought naan today. I mean, I didn't want to overcomplicate this video. I do make a mean homemade naan, and I will do a video about it in the future that you'll be able to use with this, but I wanted to keep this a little on the shorter side. So I got some store-bought naan and some basmati rice, and let's just get into this. Let's see what we got. Try the chicken just by itself. That is a proper tikka masala, aka butter chicken, as it's called in India. So spicy, but not hot. This isn't a hot dish. It's just a medley of spices. It's warm, it's comforting. Gotta be a top 10 dish, guys. I mean, there's a reason why the entire UK made this their national dish. It's so creamy, and that sweetness from the tomatoes, and the way all of those spices come together in harmony. Not an overwhelming dish in any way, even though it has all that spice. It just balances perfectly. That is a proper tikka masala. Getting in here with some of that naan. Forget about it, guys. It's one of those dishes, it just ranks so high up there. It just does everything right. You can't say enough about it. You gotta try it. You gotta make it. By the way, when you get the store-bought naan, slap it on your grill if you're grilling your meats, because it comes out a lot better. Let me know in the comments what you think. Thank you again, as always, for tuning in. Please like and subscribe, and we will see you next time. I'm gonna eat some more tikka masala.